Cool, we're on. There we go again. So welcome back. We are, I believe, episode 6, are we? I think. Episode Summit. I think I was having a conversation with you, and I think now we're on episode 6. We are now bang average for length of time of podcast. I think now is about the time people start to like bomb themselves off at like 6 or 7.
Yep.
So there you go. We've reached the dizzy heights of absolute average.
Above mediocrity. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Oh yeah, mate. That's what I aim. Yeah.
100%. I feel like I'm gonna tail this off first and foremost by an apology. If I sound really echoey and shit, it's because I'm sat in my gym. Mainly because I am so bad at diary organising that I put this call straight in after a bunch of admin I had to do this morning. And obviously admin being the gym's opening tomorrow and we weren't ready. We are now, but we weren't. So if I'm a bit echo, it's because I'm sat in a squat rack. And you'll see that if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever avenue you get your podcast from, many others are available.
I thought it was just your like bedroom wallpaper, and that you just had a squat rack in your logo on your bedroom because you just love it.
This is actually my bed.
Love lifting. Oh, mate, imagine.
I mean, there's definitely beds that look like this available. I'm not sure this would be down for that though. I don't know. Anyway, that's another podcast. That's the late night podcast, that one. We can get on another time. Questions on a postcard. Let's go with that. So we had a few questions in this time, as we normally do. Not that that's anything normal. We don't just sit and make these up. These are actual questions, which is a thing. It's kind of cool to focus on, because the gyms are opening up again as of tomorrow. We've had a lot of questions in on kind of training and getting back to it and how to get the most out of things, which is exactly what we needed in, which is awesome. I'll tail into the first one because I feel it's going to be quite a quick answer question. I will caveat this with, keep in mind, this talk is aimed at strength athletes. So we'll go there. So Craig has asked me about fasted training. Can you train on an empty stomach and still get stronger? I'm going to just say yes, and then let you elaborate because you're much more qualified to do so than I
am. The answer is yes. It's more a case of why would you want to? So this is like a question. So if Craig's someone that trains first thing in the morning, they don't like eating before, then train. If you prefer training fasted for some strange reason, you absolutely can and get stronger as well. All sort of pre-training nutrition is going to do is give you energy to get the stimulus in the gym that will make you get stronger. If you feel like you can do that without food, then absolutely great. Is it as good as eating something before a session? I'm not sure. You probably would be better to eat something before a session. But like I said, if the only time you can train is 6 o'clock and you can't eat, then obviously training fasted is going to be better than no training, which is your other option. So yeah, absolutely you can. Endurance training is a very different question, which we're not going to go into today. If you are someone that struggles to eat in the morning, having extra carbohydrate the night before is a decent strategy for that. So like a bowl or two of cereal after your dinner, having a carb-heavy dinner, and then just trying to have something like half banana. If you can stomach it, then great, like in the morning. But yeah, you can get stronger. It's just you probably couldn't quite as strong, but it's really small detail that doesn't matter in the scheme for most people.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the main question I took off the back of that was why would you want to train empty? But then, like I say, if you're just not one of those people that can eat first thing in the morning, you'll be all right. You'll be fine. I feel like it's more of a case of energy intake throughout the day, like provided you're hitting your kind of calorie requirements and macro splits if you're in that way and all that sort of stuff. If you're getting all of that in throughout the day, kind of doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And again, it depends. I mean, it depends on what you feel like. If you're properly howling through your session at 6 o'clock in the morning, you're empty and you're not feeling it or anything like that, I'd probably just say slam a coffee down you.
Yeah.
Like, you'll probably be all right from that one. Or like a bit of Pro Plus, a bit of caffeine, which we're going to touch on later.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It depends on the session as well. Like if you've got 2-hour session, you'll need something. Like it's going to be very like carb demanding, so you'll need some carbohydrate. But yeah, if you just got like a 45-minute hour session or 45 minutes of work, which is obviously if you're a powerlifter, split over 8 hours training session. But if it's only like 45 minutes of work, you probably don't need anything anyway. You'll probably be fine.
For a powerlifter, a 45-minute session split over about 2 different dinners, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, 3 to 5 working days. I'm pretty sure.
I think I saw someone bring a microwave to the gym once just to make their food. That didn't happen. That's a lie, but it'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
So yeah, so the swift answer, yes, you can get stronger training fasted because you're going to eat for the rest of the day. You might just struggle through that session. That's kind of a robust way to sort of cap that question off in it. Cool, man. So next one was yours, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
there you go. That's yours. Next question.
it was. So question I had was, do I need to track, or should everyone track calories and macros? And will that depend on their goals? So whether it's just like general health versus body composition versus like training performance. And this guy, I think, does powerlifting sort of recreationally. He's also like a nutritionist. So he's interested in my opinion on the different side.
Cool.
With tracking, it is not like a lifestyle choice. It's not a personality trait. It's a tool you have that you can use to sort of keep track of what you're eating in terms of either calories or specific macronutrients if you're looking to change them. Like it's not, and it really frustrates me when I see people and they're like, well, the answer to your problems are track your calories and macros. And that might be great. That might be what that person needs to change something. Then what? If that's your only like mechanism for change, you've got two options of track food forever or lose progress because the one thing you knew how to do, you're not doing anymore. And like when you just say that is the answer, as soon as you say this one thing is the answer, if you can't have that one thing, then you haven't got the answers anymore. You need to have multiple tools, and it is literally just one tool in the toolbox that will help you get to where you want to be. Do I think that a lot of people should track at some point? Probably. Unless you have like a bad relationship with food, disordered eating, body image, like issues with the scale, issues with numbers in general, and just being very data driven, and it upsets you if they don't quite go how you want. So like if MyFitnessPal has got that you are in the red for one of the macronutrients because you've missed it by 5 grams and that really upsets you, tracking's not for you. For everyone else, if you're looking to change something, whether it's body composition or performance, and you're like, oh, I know I need to have this much protein or this much carbohydrate, most people aren't actually that aware of what that looks like in food. And so by just writing down what you're eating, sometimes it's just a good, oh my God, I'm miles off. Maybe I should change this. And tracking is really good for that because actually, like there's studies showing that even like nutritionists and dietitians, when they were asked to estimate food, energy and macros in food were way off.
Yeah.
It's actually very difficult to eyeball stuff because, like we know, like calories are hidden in all sorts of things. It's just difficult to do. So by tracking it, you actually give yourself a decently objective way of doing that. But it's not like, and some people can track for long periods of time and be fine and just like dip in and out. They'll have days where they don't track if they're going out for meals, things like that, and that's great as well. But if you feel like you've tracked and now you can't get off tracking, but you hate tracking, that's a problem. So it's not a long-term thing for a lot of people, but it's a good tool to have. That's my opinion on it. I don't know where you stand.
Yeah, I fully agree. So I treat tracking as, I get like weight class athletes tracking a couple of months out of competition because it's just the easiest way of tracking, obviously tracking, the easiest way of ensuring you get to where you need to be. We'll kind of sit down, work out. I might send them your way just to get their sort of needs in place, that sort of thing. But we'll definitely say 2 or 3 months out of competition, just keep an eye on shit because then that's part of your training for that competition, especially if it's a bigger comp like the sort of English or British or something like that. But definitely as a tool, and you smack the nail on the head. If you're one of those people that just struggles with, like myself included in this, I really struggle if everything isn't set to like tick, tick, tick. If nothing's been ticked, and I've got a gram of carbs left to eat for the day, the logical bit of my head and the kind of educated bit of me says, it's a gram. Nothing's going to happen. It's fine. But the bit of me that says that number's in red on MyFitnessPal really fucks me off. But then I can't eat anything that's a gram of carb without putting anything else out of whack.
Yeah.
So things like that really upset me. So I'm very much in that camp. If I don't typically track, but if I've got something coming, then I will. So for me, it's a very much pick it up as I need to do it sort of thing. That's kind of how I look at it. And yeah, it's very easy to kind of get yourself bogged down in that. The other thing, and you sort of hit the nail on the head as well, was saying things like just a food diary. I'll get most of my new clients. If someone's looking to just watch their weight, which most personal training clients are, like if you're trying to get like a little bit of weight loss or just sort of watching your figure, that sort of thing, I'll just say to them, just jot down stuff you eat. You've got it in notes in your phone or however you want to do it. But if you remember, jot it down. And again, it's just a good way of saying like, you know, you've had X number of drinks of squash or lemonade or Coke or whatever you're drinking, something like that. And I've usually sort of again, this is massive anecdotal, this is from my experience, liquid calories seem to be like the biggest culprit for kind of going over your calorie, inverted commas, allowance, calorie needs. Because you just don't know, like how many calories in half a pint of Coke and how many of those you drink. Do you know what I mean? It's really easy to just consume calories without thinking. Or if you have a coffee and you put sugar in your coffee and you're 4 coffees in, that's 4 spoonfuls of sugar you've had without really thinking about it. So liquid calories are the big ones. But obviously tracking then, to make a cup of coffee, it becomes a massive ball ache because you've got to put your coffee in, then you've got to put a teaspoon of sugar. If you have milk, you've got to put the milk in. Roughly, a splash isn't a measure on MyFitnessPal. So it becomes a little bit of a ball ache. So unless, to kind of nutshell that up, unless you are training for a thing or you are that way inclined, I don't really see the point. It's just a case of being a little bit sensible and, just sort of keeping an eye on what you're doing. I think that's kind of my take.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like a spectrum where sort of if you're gen pop, it's less important, and as you get a bit more specific to sport, it becomes a little bit more important at times. Yeah. Still only at times. People get surprised when I say I don't track for most of the year. Probably at least 10 months, if not more of the year, I don't track. And like sometimes it is held up as this thing of like, oh, you've completed nutrition because you know how to track calories and macros, and like the fitness industry is obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But like you've completed it if you don't have to. Yeah. Now you know what's in food, you know how to regulate your body weight most of the time. If you want to change it, you can go back to tracking if you want to. Yeah. But yeah, for most of the time, you know what's in food and you know how to regulate your food without tracking your food. I think the obsession with some coaches using it is like they've got data, so that if something's not happening with your body weight, or they'll just go, well, yeah, calories, and they'll just shift calories around. Like no one's ever looking at, oh yeah, your calories are slightly wrong there. And if you have this calorie-focused coaching method, people just end up lying. Like the amount of coaches I see that are like, oh, you're on 1,900 calories and you've not lost weight this week, we'll drop it down to 1,700, then 1,500. And like the answer isn't that there's some sort of physiological freak, like we've said before. The answer is they're not sticking to it. So be a coach, don't just be like a spreadsheet guy, be a coach and actually work on their behaviour change and see, oh, actually, this is probably why they're not losing weight or whatever their goal is, because they're not sticking to this calorie target, which the original one would have helped them lose weight, but they've not stuck to it. So how do we actually put habits and behaviours in place that help them stick to the calorie target rather than just putting it through the floor just because, oh, well, they've not lost weight and energy deficit, so less calories or walking. It's a substitute for really poor coaching a lot of the time, in my opinion, and not always, but a lot of the time that is the case.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And I think it's a question of like carrot and stick.
Yeah.
Like understand that if you're tracking for a month and you have a shit 3 weeks in that month, the end of that month, you're probably not going to be where you're at. And that's cool. Like start again.
Yeah.
Like just reset your shit. Have a chat with your coach or your trainer or your nutritionist or whoever you're dealing with. Have a chat with them. Have a little reset. Work out something that's more plausible. Work out where you went off.
Yeah.
And go again. Like it's all good. Like it's one of those.
If you failed at a higher like calorie target, why would the answer be drop it further?
Yeah.
That is literally like the equivalent of, well, I failed the 1 rep max attempt at 150. We'll stick 170 on and see if that works. Like the logic just really isn't there, because if that crushed you before, it's going to crush you this time. And it's literally the same with food. You couldn't do 1,500. Well, 1,300 is not going to be much easier for you.
Yeah, pretty much. That's going to suck. So, yeah. On that, actually, here's a question that wasn't the question, but it's what I'm intrigued on. So if you're 1,500 calories and you're not doing your bits and pieces and you're struggling to hit that, at what point would you say, right, let's put you to 1,600, let's give you a little bit of leeway because it's probably going to still help you, and then we'll work back down again? Would that be something that you entertain? Or
I mean, I'd probably never take someone to 1,500 generally, depending on their body size. But yeah, I don't like this idea of reverse dieting and slowly adding calories each week. You probably heard it where like you get down to really low calories and then you slowly add calories. And they're like, oh, yes, I'm still losing weight, even though I'm eating more. Oh, yeah, but you're still in a deficit. Yeah. I'm not a fan of it. You're dieting for longer. That's all that is. A reverse diet for 12 weeks after a diet for 12 weeks is a diet for 24 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and they're like, oh, I didn't want to put calories up too high because I might put a bit of body weight on. Like, spend some time talking to your client about why that's okay and why a little bit of body weight gain is probably mostly carbs, mostly water, maybe a little bit of body fat, but they're still in tons leaner than they were before.
100%.
Rather than just let them add half a square of chocolate a week and pretend that that's progress because they're eating more food. It's pathetic.
Just
like, give someone more food, let them enjoy more food, and practice maintaining, get a normal calorie intake for their body weight for a longer period of time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I fully agree. It's the whole. I've had this, and the reason I asked is I had a client. This was some time ago. Like, this is no longer relevant, and this client now lives in Dubai. Another one. Look, that's the second person I've mentioned that's moved to Dubai that I've trained.
The amount, the distance that people will go to avoid you.
Maybe the problem. Maybe that's me. Just everyone's going, fuck this. I'm going to move to the desert just to get away from this guy. I'm a bald ginger guy. I'm not going to follow them to the desert.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah,
they're going to go there. That's cool. But yeah, so it was one of the things. So she was tracking and doing her bits and pieces, and it was one of those. She was on, I think she was on about 2,200 calories a day from memory, and just struggling to hit it. But like, wouldn't be around the bush. She was a big lass, and that was a good number for her to hit. And we bulked her up in a shed load of veg and stuff like that. So her meals were a decent size, but she was struggling to hit it consistently. So we put her to 25, and then she could hit it. And then we just sort of started weaning that back down again, back to 22, and then we sort of just did it slower. So we just sort of reset and then worked back down over a few months, and that seemed to work really well. So again, going back to the tracking thing, like, she was one of those. She was really analytical, so she liked to track, and that worked really well for her. But that's another thing to consider if you're in that.
Yeah, and like, tracking isn't perfect. Calorie calculations are estimates.
Yes.
They are energy expenditure estimates. They're not perfect. So stop saying, well, I'm definitely eating this, my energy expenditure is this, and I'm not losing weight, so calorie deficits don't work. You're not in a calorie deficit. If you're not dropping body fat for a period of time, you're not in a deficit. And one of the estimations you've been doing is wrong, or most likely you're overeating compared to what you think you are. You're not moving as much as you think you are. And it is as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I've realised that I've been rather sassy over the course of this question, and I didn't expect it, but there we go.
I like a bit of sass. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not sufficiently caffeinated. I'll have more coffee later and see how we go.
Fair enough. Well, I'm staring at an empty cup, which is really
and me. Yeah.
I only started when we started this podcast. I'm really upset by it. I feel like this would be a good time to make, like, I need to make like a little break. I need advertising. That's what I need. If somebody wants to sponsor
it, yeah.
Someone wants to sponsor, this would be where we make an advert, and I can go and make a coffee. We could do that. There you go. On a postcard, please. Any sponsorship. I'll take any sponsorship. I'm a massive slut for that sort of stuff. It's all good. Yeah. Unless it's like Herbalife, they can fuck off. Yeah. But that's a whole other rabbit hole.
I can imagine you doing like the little voiceover bit in podcasts. What do you buy? Shropshire gravy boats. And it's just you like promoting some random company.
But the Shropshire gravy boats are good gravy boats.
They are good, to be fair. Good by one.
A good amount of gravy.
Yeah.
A good pour. They're good. They're good. Right, anyway, we digress. Question number 3. So this is one I'm going to go off on a tangent of, so bear with. So Jocelyn has asked me, what is the best split for training when we go back to the gym? Now, that is such a massively, massively broad question that I'm only able to answer because I know Joss is a weightlifter. So split for training, I don't really understand training splits. I don't really think they're necessary. And by splits, what we're talking about is days you train to days you rest and what you train on those days. So you get people that go to like Pure Gym and they'll smash out leg day, and then next day is chest day, then they'll have a rest day, then they do arms and calf day, then they'll have like neck and shoulder day, they'll have like abs day. They're like, stop fucking around with single muscle groups. I really don't think that's what you need to be doing. I feel like you need to have a decent, like, to put this a different way, I feel like if we're going to talk splits, let's talk about work to rest splits. So how many days work to how many days rest are you going to do? And that, again, get ready for it. It depends on the individual. Drink. It completely depends. So where are you at in your training? Are you brand new to training? And if so, you're probably not going to want to smash out 5 sessions a week because you'll fucking die. Are you a seasoned athlete in that you can probably get 2 or 3 sessions in a day over a period of time and rest for a couple of days in the week to get your recovery in? It completely depends. So I think for a more accurate answer to this, anyone with that question, drop me a DM and I can have a conversation with you. We can arrange a call and I'll try and help you with your training, getting back to the gym. To give it a broad answer for Josh, being she's the one that's answered this or asked this, as a weightlifter, your split is, again, it's dependent on your work capacity. So you're not going to come in and do clean day and snatch day and jerk day. You're going to come through and you're probably going to hit like some technical movements at the start of a session, 3, 4, 5 sets of clean and jerks, and then you're going to move on to something a little bit more, without wanting to put too fun a thing, like accessory work. Clean and jerks, then you might go into some squats, and then some pulls, and then the rest of the session's yours to do some bits and pieces, whatever you fancy. But you're going to get your meat and potato exercises done, and then you fluff towards the end. Provided you get your meat and potato done, you're good. But if you start splitting it into things, you'll never get anything done. Because you're going to come through, you're going to do clean and jerks and snatch on the same session. And then what, you've got to have 3 days off? Nah, it's not how this works. So look at work and rest ratios. If you can work for 2 days, so like my split would be, oh no, dude. Did that just come through? I just got a phone call. I thought I was on Do Not Disturb. Damn it. So I was in the middle of a rant there and I got a phone call. That's very unprofessional of me. I apologise. So if you're looking at work rests, if you can work 2 days, you probably want to take a rest and see how you feel. If your recovery's good, you're back in. So my split, if we're going to call it a split, I'll train Monday, Tuesday, rest Wednesday. I'll train Thursday, Friday, rest Saturday, and I'll have like a light session on a Sunday. So I hit 5 sessions a week. And they're typically like an hour and a half to 2 hour sessions, plenty of rest in them because much as I'm a weightlifter and a strongman, I rest like a powerlifter. But that's mine. If I'm training for a competition, then I'm probably going to up my sessions a little bit. The sessions will be shorter, but I'll hit 2 sessions a day. So I'll have like an early morning and then an evening session where I'll split the session in 2, but I'll go heavier. So I'm increasing my workload, but the rests are longer. So does that make sense? So to answer that question, I don't think there is a straight answer. And I'm going to get strength and conditioning coaches and personal trainers jumping down my throat saying, you're wrong. You need to do calf day because you need that progressive overload for calf to grow calf. And that's going to have a thing. And nah, you don't. I do some compound stuff. You'll be all right. But I just don't think that there needs to be that finer point put on it. And I think this is me getting off on a rant the same as you got sassy about tracking. I'm getting sassy about training splits. I just don't think it's that important. If you feel good in your training, you're probably right. If you don't, you might need some more recovery work. That's basically it. A mic drop. Yeah, and like I say, I think for a more accurate answer to that, like drop me a note. Obviously, my DMs are always open. If you want an answer to that for your training personally, hit me up. I'm more than happy to have that conversation with you and try and set you on the right path. And I'll try and not be that sassy while I'm helping out. There you go. Have you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, not massively because it's not my thing, but like, there's more than one way you could split up training. So it's not only body parts, which I think loads of people think it is. Yeah. Like you could split up through intensity, you could split up through types of movement, you could do all sorts. And it just depends on the sport, doesn't it? And your activity. Like I follow a more conventional split. I think splits sort of come from that physique thing rather than if you look at sports, they don't periodize training like that really. Yeah. But even physique now is moving more towards movements rather than like body part splits. So you'll see like push pull legs, which is closer to what you're talking about in terms of it's more about what you've got the capacity to do. And if you're like picking around with all different body parts, then you mess up with your recovery for the rest of the week. Whereas push pull legs, you've probably got the right amount of volume for each body part, which is basically what you want for hypertrophy, and the right amount of recovery as well. So it depends. It depends a lot on the sport, really.
Yeah, but it's massively on the sport, which is why I said, like, drop me a message, and I'll gladly personalise that answer to your training. But by and large, just go train.
Yeah. Arms 3 times a week minimum.
Arms 3 times a week, yeah, because biceps need them.
Yeah, that's my only real input into this. Train arms more.
Yeah, definitely. Although, top tip, if you work your triceps, your arms look bigger because triceps are bigger muscle than bicep. There you go, fact fans. Yeah. And also it helps if you fold your arms and like push your arms up a little bit. That makes you look bigger too. You didn't see that on podcast, but if you're on YouTube, my arms look massive just then. They're really not terrible arms. Yeah. Terrible arms. Considering I'm a strength coach, they're fucking abysmal.
Curl in the squat rack as well.
Always curl in the squat rack because squat racks are anabolic.
Yeah.
So if you superset curls with calf raises in the squat rack, you're laughing.
In lifters. But it's just like social norms, that's the average. And then if you do what everyone else does, you get average results. You've got to do something different. Yeah. Therefore, curling the squat rack, no one else does it. So you'll get different results. So you'll go bigger.
If you take your arm blaster into a squat rack review and a lifting belt, man.
That's how science works. Yeah.
Game train all day long.
Smelling salts if you need them. If it's really hard. I've seen that in commercial gym. The worst thing I've ever seen was lifters, lifting belt, smelling salts, and then this guy was doing like skull crushes. And I was just like, this is peak DW fitness. This is phenomenal.
I love that. So I took smelling salts to Pure Gym once, and people lost their shit.
Really?
It was like, what is this stuff? It was amazing. Someone came over and asked me because I was taking it before like sort of decent deadlifts. Like I was going fairly heavy, And this is when I trained at Pure Gym, the dark days. So I was like, what are they? I told them they're smelling salts. And they said, what do they do? So basically, they just hoover your head out so you can't think of anything before you pick up some ridiculous amount away from the floor. Like, can I have a go? I'm like, yeah, 100%. And I sort of passed on the bottom. Before I got to give him instructions, he'd basically fed it up his nostril and just like catapulted himself across the gym. It looked like he'd been punched. It was amazing. So if you're new to smelling salts, so like hang them down like middle of your torso, just like inhale to start with, and then when you get used to them, you can take a decent hit. But yeah, they're gonna fuck you up if you've never used them before.
Yeah, do a quick line and then do some like cable face pulls or something, and you'll get huge.
Leave the salt in the bottle because it's ammonia. Don't tip it out and like actually cut around with it and stuff. That'd be a really bad idea.
That's what everyone else is doing, and they're getting average results.
Correct.
Try something.
Be better.
Yeah.
Oh dear, this is all going wrong. My computer's being a right dick to me today. It was updated before this. I was 10 minutes late to recording, and now my emails are telling me that they're doing something weird.
Oh.
This is great. I love technology. Anyway, that was a training question covered, and a little bit of a tangent on the back of it, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, same.
So that kind of covered off the main ones, and then you had a question on caffeine to sort of cap us off at the end of this.
It did. Yeah. So someone asked me, what is the best source of caffeine for me to take? So we'll go through a few different sources because we don't think we spoke about this. But when we're this far into a podcast, we're actually not sure anymore, are we, what we spoke about?
Really?
You're like me, you've told so many people, do so many workshops and podcasts and things, so I can't remember who I've told what to.
And plus, we're well above average now, so we probably covered everything. And we completed it. 6 episodes, we've completed training and nutrition.
Finished podcast, yeah.
This is maybe why people run out after episode 6 or 7, because they just completed everything.
Yeah. Caffeine. So the few different sources. There's obviously coffee, and like other hot beverages like tea. There's energy drinks like Monster, Red Bull, Reign, etc. There's caffeine tablets like you mentioned, like Pro Plus or other caffeine tablet sources, and there's caffeine powder.
Yep.
Now there are pros and cons to each. Instant coffee doesn't have much caffeine in. It's a waste of your time. Like the amount of instant coffee you'd need to drink to get a performance benefit from caffeine. So we need 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of your body weight about an hour before training. So like if I was 100 kilos, which I'm not, I'd need 300 to 600 milligrams of caffeine. An instant coffee has about 60 milligrams. So I'm going to need minimum 5 instant coffees, strong ones, before just to have the minimum effect of caffeine, and then double that, like 10 instant coffees, an hour before training to have the maximum effect. My stomach's not going to enjoy that. There's nothing optimal about shitting yourself in the gym for performance, like nothing. So that's out. Espresso's got a little bit more, like 110 milligrams for like a double espresso, but it's so massively varied on like brewing time, temperature, all of those different coffee factors. Like you can't control it, so I'm not a big fan. There's like a study on Starbucks coffee where a large Americano was everything from like 250 to about 600 milligrams. And it was the same coffee, and they sold it on different days, and it was different every time, which is mental. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's something like that. Red Bull, Monster don't have that many, about 110, 120 milligrams of caffeine for a can. It's not awful, but it's not loads. When I went 300 to 600 milligrams, again, I'm not having 3 Red Bulls before I lift, or 3 Monsters, because, yeah, no. So, tablets or powder are basically where I go. Now tablets you can get normally in 50 milligram or 200 milligram doses. Obviously 50 milligram you can be more accurate with it because it's a smaller amount, but I'd have to take 6 to 12 for the 50 milligram ones, which isn't great for me. 200 milligram ones I can't really be specific, so I've either got 400 milligrams, which is decent for me, or 600 milligrams, which might blow my face off. So you've got a little bit of a trade-off, like how am I actually going to do this practically. Caffeine powder, you can be super accurate and like get it down to the absolute milligram if you wanted to. If you get the decimal point in the wrong place, you'll die. Again, is suboptimal for performance. There was this case of a university, I think it might be Northumbria, where basically students did this as a practical at a university lecture, and they got the decimal point in the wrong place for caffeine. And the 2 participants lost about 15 kilos, were on dialysis and in hospital for a few weeks.
Oh my God.
And it cost the uni a couple of quid, it's fair to say, when it ended up in court.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But like, the simple answer is, if you find yourself pouring out grams of caffeine, like you would like to see sugar, you've gone too far.
You're probably wrong. Yeah.
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 So powder's most accurate. I personally use tablets because it is easiest. And I'll use the 200 milligram ones because I'll just go, well, somewhere near. If I'm feeling crap, I'll just have one. If I feel really crap, I'll have two. If I'm feeling fun, I'll have three. And then just see what happens. But yeah, so you basically want whatever you can dose best for performance, and that's normally powder or a tablet. The other thing to consider is chewing gum. So chewing gum has a slightly quicker entry because it doesn't have to be digested. It goes into the bloodstream via the mouth rather than having to go through your digestive tract like the others will. So rather than like an hour for it to peak in your blood, you're looking at like 15, 20 minutes. Not massively relevant for a lot of people unless you're at competition. And if you're a weightlifter or powerlifter competition, it's super relevant. And I think that's actually quite a good way, particularly if you're not 100% sure on when you're going to lift throughout the day. And like, if you're going to have less than an hour's notice, you can't dose caffeine as accurately in terms of time as you'd like to. So then caffeine gum becomes really useful, and you're like, oh shit, I've got 20 minutes to lift. I'm going to have some caffeine gum, and that's probably going to have a decent effect on my lift. So caffeine.
I've never really looked at caffeine gum. It's interesting.
Doesn't taste great. Like, it's mint-ish flavored.
Sure. Is it the same like Rennie's? That same sort of horrible false mint kind of.
Maybe a little bit worse, but yeah, not far off. Yeah, Rennie's is a decent example.
You proper
yeah, like faux mint is how I describe it.
Faux mint.
Yeah.
Oh man. So are we going to see a CB Nutrition line of caffeine gum in the future? That might be a thing.
I hope so, but I don't think I'd ever sell it. I just bought it all. I just go around chewing it like.
Just this little collection.
Yeah, literally just buzzing and just like see. Sound wherever I went. Yeah. I don't think I'd ever sell it.
That'd be amazing. That'd be cool though.
Yeah.
I mean, my take on that, and again, I have no real take on it. Like, I don't know. It's a swift answer, but pre-workouts, I find they're a pretty decent shout. If you're looking like obviously pre-workout, a pre-workout's probably a good one. But there's so fucking many of them. Have you heard like bro scientists talking about their pre-workouts? It is such an amazing conversation to listen into. It's fucking spectacular. And they're all really obnoxious names. They definitely appeal to dudes more than they do girls.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of any off the top of my head. Like, I've got pre-workouts in the gym, like little shots, and they're called TNT. Like, because why not? But each one's got 300 milligrams of caffeine in it and beta alanine and some other bits that are going to make you scratch your face like a crackhead.
That's worth talking about. I forgot about pre-workouts actually, but they are all called something like face hammer smash and things like that. Like, just ridiculous names. Yeah. Like,
you might die, but you'll have a great session beforehand.
Yeah, it's literally called like facial powder, and you're like, yeah, fuck, I need this. Yeah. Like, are you sure? But a lot of them are pretty averagely dosed in terms of caffeine. You get some really good ones that have got some caffeine in them. Beta-alanine, like you said, will give you that paresthesia, so it'll make your face really itchy. But you need those beta-alanine 4 times a day for a very long time to have a performance effect. Like, just feeling a little bit itchy after one dose is going to do absolutely bugger all for your performance. And then even if you dose it right, it's got to be the right sort of like duration exercise. So like, if you're a powerlifter, it'll do jack shit anyway. So it'll have that. It might have some creatine, which you're probably going to get for 1/10 of the price and just be taking anyway. It'll have some BCAAs, which will do absolutely jack for you as well. And then just some other filler ingredients, which will be like.
Can we just caveat on the back of that to say, just stop taking BCAAs?
Yeah.
Just stop it. If you've got them, throw them away. Just stop it.
I'd add pre-workouts to that, and I'd say go and buy a decent caffeine supplement and take a proper dose. So like, if your pre-workout has 200 milligrams, double it, take in caffeine, and see the difference. I mean, it's not the only thing you'll see. You'll see sound and unicorns and all sorts.
But speakers start talking to you.
Yeah, you'll see the difference though. And genuinely, pre-workouts, you'll think, actually, I've been spending 60 quid on crap when caffeine tablets are like 15, 20 quid for loads, and you'll feel amazing.
Oh, interesting. I'll give that a bash.
They're not blue raspberry flavored, so people won't buy them.
Have you ever seen a blue raspberry? Like, what the fuck is that? Where did that come from?
No.
If anyone's ever seen a blue raspberry, answers on a postcard. Like, whatever.
But every time I talk about caffeine, people are like, "Oh, you said stop taking pre-workouts." Like, I feel like that, in the advertising, like old stuff, and it's like that one secret your doctor doesn't want you to know. I feel like that. It's just like, it's common sense. The only real working factor is caffeine, and they don't have that much caffeine. If they do, and you like the taste of it, and it makes you drink something, and you've got the money, then crack on.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I like a pre-workout because I kind of like that
Yeah.
cracky, scratchy feeling. Like, that's, to me, it's part of the pantomime of lifting heavy and taking smelling salts and shit like that. But I'm under no illusion that it's not doing anything. And especially, like, I've looked into beta-alanine research, and I know full well for the amount of time, I'll take it like every other session, every third session.
Yeah. It's doing nothing.
At best, like 1 gram of beta-alanine every 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
That's doing fuck all. I know it's not doing anything. And I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that.
Yeah, the psychological bit of that's quite interesting, actually. And that, like, if it helps you, like, I mean, there's most things in nutrition with supplements. If you've got the money and it makes you feel better and it's not doing any harm, then feel free to do it. I'm just going to be the guy who sits and goes, well, there's no evidence for that. But it's like sleep supplements. I was saying this the other day. Sleep supplements have got really bad research for them.
Yeah.
But if someone says to me, oh, I take this, I'm allowed to take it, it doesn't do any harm, and it makes me sleep amazing. Yeah, take it. It's probably placebo, but who gives a toss? If you sleep better, you sleep better.
Real. It's down to and again, it's personal preference, isn't it? And like I said, provided it's not doing you any harm, you'll be all right, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But the psychological thing, we could get into psychology for a whole podcast episode quite easily. But like, look at chalk. Chalk adds 0 to your lift. If anything, it makes you slightly heavier. So because you've got chalk on your hands, very, very slightly. That's the only thing that will change in your lift. But like, people go to the chalk bucket, and I'm looking at the chalk bucket because I'm in the gym. That's why I keep looking over there. People go to the chalk bucket and fucking layer it on. And like, when you look at a grip perspective, you need like a light dusting, just to take the moisture off your hands so you can grip the bar better, or the stone, or whatever it is you're picking up. Like, loads of chalk just adds layers of dust to your hand, which probably makes your grip worse. Probably, I don't know. I'm going to say that. But it's part of that kind of pantomime, that thing that you have to go over and just layer yourself with chalk, and then you go to your bar and you smash out a massive lift. So it's all part of that thing. Psychologically, that chalk bucket is amazing. So if that chalk bucket's not there, or if you need a block of chalk to rub on and it's all powder, that changes a lot of stuff in the back of your head. Even though you're going to do the lift anyway, it changes a big thing. So psychology is a big one we could talk about.
Yeah, it just adds confidence, is pretty much all it adds.
Yeah.
But I suppose on the flip side of that, is that useful because if you get to a situation, even at a comp where you don't have it, for whatever reason you forget it or you can't have it, is that a good thing that you're relying on it?
No.
For most of those things, the answer is probably not.
Of course not. No. So again, it's that whole psychological thing, and it's one of the things that I make sure I kind of try and instill it into people here. They'll turn up and they'll do their lift and they bail it and they get into the head and say, "Oh, I'm wearing the wrong socks today." Like, bullshit. Your socks add nothing to your lift. Pick up that fucking bar. And like, there's normally a case of like, go outside, have a word with yourself, come back in and do it. If you bail it a few times, then it's not your day, fine. But your socks are not the reason you missed that lift because you're having a bad day, and that's cool. But don't blame your socks. That's a really bad excuse.
I saw a really interesting point that Catherine David's daughter, the CrossFit, one of the fittest in the world, she always said that if she hadn't slept well or she wasn't feeling great or one of those other factors that she likes wasn't working for her, she'd always just be like, yeah, good. Now I'm practicing in suboptimal conditions because I know competition will not be optimal. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's going to, like, something's going to go wrong. But all of this training, I've practiced with all of the worst things that could possibly happen. So now I know I'm ready.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just like walking around like a princess and everything's perfect for you and it goes wrong on comp day, then you'll get shit.
Well, there was an interview with Big Z, Junior Savickas, strongman. I don't know why I need to say the strongman. Like, Big Z is a hero. You should know who he is. If you don't know who Junior Savickas is, please go and find out. The guy is a fucking mutant. But he had this whole thing. He trains on his own. Like, in Lithuania, he lives like some drive away from like a stadium, like a football stadium, something like that. And he stores all of his shit in like the storage bit for the stadium. He just goes there in the week when there's no ground staff, there's no match, no crowd, there's nothing going on. Drags his stuff out and trains. And his whole thing is, I train on my own because it's really, really hard. Then when you get to competition, you've got the crowd buzzing behind you, you've got that dump of adrenaline in your system. This is why he's 4 times world's strongest man. Like, it's just, the guy is absolutely legit. So yeah, there's a big thing to say about training, like you say, suboptimal conditions and having a good comp day. It's yeah, definitely a thing. Definitely a thing. I think that's about us, man.
Yeah.
It's good. 4 questions today. Excellent. Here's the bit, as usual, where we plug ourselves. So if you're done listening and you're not going to buy our stuff, then disappear. You can go somewhere else. join us again next week, jog on. If you're interested in buying stuff. So, Charlie, sell yourself. Like, sell yourself. Make it by you.
So find me on Instagram first. Come and see if you like me. That's quite nice. You might have heard me and thought, actually, I quite like him. Instagram will be more proof that you may or may not like me. So I'm at cbnutrition_. I'm probably not taking any more clients on this year now, but I will have some spaces next year. Completely revamping all my coaching things. It's all going to look very exciting, but you'll see more about that in the next week or two. So yeah, head over to my Instagram. Sign up to my email list. I give people advice 2 days a week on nutrition and habits and mindset and stuff, which people find useful and sometimes amusing as well. And
I did like the cat piss saga. That was one of my favourites.
Yeah, I enjoy it. That's a good story. Yeah, sometimes I write about cat piss as well. So yeah, come and see me, and then if you'd like to work with me, then we can have a chat about that in the new year.
Awesome, man. So yeah, and then me, if you don't know me by now, this is my podcast. Hi, I'm Charlie. I'm another Charlie. So again, same thing on Instagram. You might come to my Instagram and decide that you hate me, which is absolutely fair enough. On the other hand, you might come and think that you absolutely love me, which is great. Thank you very much. I have at Redbeard Barbell Club on Instagram, which is a gym, and at Night Strength, which is my personal coaching page on Instagram. Either one will do. You'll get a dose of sort of what we do and what we're about and stuff. Much the same as Charlie. So weirdly, we didn't rehearse this bit, and yet I feel like I'm going to mirror you, but I'm copying you now. Same, not really taking any more clients on this year, because we're at the end of the year and I'm sort of wrapping things up, and obviously the gym's opening again tomorrow, so I've got a little bit preoccupied with that. But from January, there's a whole bunch of sort of new and exciting things coming through. So all our online programming, online training sessions and sort of commitments and stuff like that is coming out. So keep an eye on things. There's a lot of exciting stuff in the pipeline, which should be coming out sort of January, February time. And then, yeah, 2021 is looking like quite a big year if I can pull my finger out and get some things done. So watch this space. Awesome. I'll wrap this up. I feel like that's us good. That's us done. So next week, we'll jump back on again things. Obviously, the gyms will have been open for a week. So we'll try and get some questions in around sort of people's return and how people are getting on from that. That might be quite cool. See how people are feeling. If anybody heeded the training split thing, or they just went straight in balls deep tomorrow and they train every day until next Tuesday, and then they ask me, why am I feeling like shit? That could be a good question to answer. And I've no doubt it's going to happen. You're allowed to get excited and go into things. So fill your boots, enjoy yourself. When you return to the gym, like I say, just keep in mind that things might not go the way they were before you left the gym. Be nice to yourself. Don't be a dick. You'll be absolutely fine. So that's my little sign-off statement.
Nice, mate.
Awesome, man. Cool. Right, I'm going to stop recording. Thank you again, Charlie. Always a pleasure.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me.